In this video, we're going to be talking about how you find yourself. You find yourself underneath your suffering and underneath your pain. You are already there, but you've lost touch with that true self. So what I want to do here is just explain kind of a little bit about why this happens, but more importantly, how you can begin to work through all this pain to reconnect to who you are. Because that is where you are going to find happiness and fulfillment and meaning and all of the things that everybody's looking for. Before I get into the video, I just quickly want to say that you can download my new book. So I wrote a book about 4 or 5 years ago called Authentic Transformation. So I've revised the book and I've updated it. There's about an extra 5,000 words in there. So I'm going to put the link down below. If you've already read it before, feel free to download it again. If you've never read it, links down below. But yeah, let's get into the video. So how do you find yourself? Like I've said, you have lost touch with yourself, hence the reason you are unhappy, unfulfilled, you might suffer, you might have a lot of mental health problems. You are not mentally ill. The problem is you've lost touch with who you are. When you come back into reconnection, you'll magically be healed of any mental health problems. However, getting back in touch with yourself is the real problem, right? And the way I want to approach this today is about working with your emotions. So the biggest hindrance you have to reconnection is emotional pain, is a lot of unconscious emotions that you are carrying from the experiences that you've been through in your past, probably mostly from your childhood. That stuff is still with you, and that is causing a disconnect with your true essence. We can work on things like changing our beliefs and thinking, and that's all relevant and important. But trust me, if you do the emotional work, changing your beliefs and psychology is like easy. But if you're trying to change your psychology without doing the direct emotional work, it's a lot more challenging. What I'm going to present to you here is a much more direct way to work through the emotional stuff, so everything will naturally align with the internal shifts you make. When we're going to work with the emotions here, it's going to be difficult. This is not easy work. If it was easy, everyone would be healed. What I welcome you to explore is emotional triggers that you have. So anytime you react unconsciously, maybe it's in a certain situation, it's with a certain person in a certain relationship, we tend to have these emotional triggers. Them triggers are what are going to lead you back to yourself. The reason this is so difficult is because the triggers are so strong. The triggers have such a strong hold over you that you probably want to avoid them. You don't want to go there. But that's why they control you so much, because you continue to refuse facing them. But if you choose to face them, which is what we're going to talk about, then you'll actually find yourself. The triggers will lead you back to yourself. So the first stage of the process is find your triggers, right? What's the trigger? Is it a person? Is it a situation? How does it manifest in your body? Do you get tight or contracted in certain areas of your body? Because that's a big clue of where there's some sort of blockage or some stuck energy, right? So identify these things. When you're aware of where these triggers are, the second thing you want to do is you want to just start to meditate with these triggers. Obviously, you can do this when you're triggered. It can be difficult when you're triggered because sometimes the emotion is so strong, but essentially you want to zone in and meditate on that place. These guided meditations that can help you with this, just look for sitting with uncomfortable feelings or something. Then you just want to sit with the emotional pain for long periods of time. This is going to be very, very difficult, especially if it's a strong trigger. What's going to happen over time, if you can train yourself to do this, it's going to start to help you connect deeper with yourself. If you consider the emotional trigger is deeply embedded in your unconscious mind, that's the reason it has such a strong hold over you. If it wasn't so deeply unconscious, it wouldn't control you. So when you sit with it in meditation and you just stay with it, you don't try to fight it, you don't try to resist it, you just let it be there, and you continue to hold your attention there consistently. This isn't going to happen over one day, just over a long period of time. You start to go deeper and deeper into your unconscious. For you to go deeper and deeper into your unconscious, you have to work through all the patterns and habits and the traits that you had developed to keep this core wound hidden. So you developed a certain personality and certain characteristics, so you wouldn't have to face this thing, this pain. But when you start facing it consciously, you start to go so deep into your unconscious, all the behaviors and traits you had developed as a result of the pain start to change and fall away. You start to become more authentic as the false shit falls away. You see what I mean? But this only happens if you have the courage to go deep enough and keep staying with it. Now, how long does it take to resolve the emotional pain or the trigger? I don't know. It takes as long as it takes. But ultimately, the more you go there, the deeper you're going into your subconscious, and the more of the false stuff is kind of resolving and leaving you. The more of the pain is going. Eventually, you'll get to the point where the trigger will just start to lose its hold over you, and you'll be able to be more authentic, more connected, more you most of the time. Will the trigger still come back sometimes? Probably, likely, yes, but you will have developed so much more strength or power over it. It just won't have the same hold. The other key thing to understand is that you need to not intellectualize what you are feeling. So when you're doing this practice and you're trying to feel this emotional trigger or this pain, your mind's going to want to start to make stories out of what you're feeling. She did this, or he did that, or I'm scared of something, or this feeling means something. You need to stop intellectualize what you are feeling. As soon as you start to intellectualize and go into your thoughts, you're reinforcing the pain. You're just giving more energy to the pain. So anytime you catch yourself going into your thoughts and intellectualizing the pain, you need to break that connection and come back to just the pure sensation. This is not easy to do because we live in a very mental world. Everything's very mental, so we're not in our bodies very much, so we're always kind of leaving our bodies and going into our heads to try to logically understand this. And I'm a very logical person myself, so it's a very, very difficult thing for me to do. But over time and with practice, you're able to sever that connection between the feeling and the stories that you're creating around it. Once you stop intellectualizing it and creating stories around it, it'd be easier to be with it, okay? And like I said, slowly, it's like it starts to release energy. That energy is released from your system, integrated, you actually become stronger, more vital, more connected to who you are. And that's essentially all the work you need to do to resolve emotional pain, trauma, any of it. This is the most direct way. Is it difficult? Yes, because this pain does not want you to face it. Right? That's why it keeps kicking off, like kicking you into your thoughts, or it keeps distracting you. It tells you you're too lazy to meditate. It tells you you're too lazy to do the things you need to do, because meditation and doing uncomfortable things is directly putting you in contact with the emotional pain. And unconsciously, you don't want to go there because the pain has been there for so long. There's a lot of fear around it, a lot of shame, a lot of uncomfortable emotion. But you have to find the courage to go there consistently. The good news is, if you really commit to the practice, it gets easier, okay? And after a few weeks, you might find that you stop getting caught up in your thoughts. You can just be with it. And slowly, you'll start to develop that connection with yourself. You'll find more meaning, more purpose, and more happiness, which is really what we're all trying to find here. So I hope this video helps some of you out. I just want to say once again, if you haven't already, check out my book, link down below. But if you enjoyed the video, if you could please go ahead, give a like, share, subscribe. But until next time, God bless.